In this video, we're going to consider what might be considered overkill when it comes to gloves. Unless you're fortunate enough to live in a part of the world that is perpetually warm and dry, then it's a fairly safe bet that when you're out on the hills, you're carrying a pair of gloves. Regardless of the time of the year or the weather conditions, I personally always carry this pair of very lightweight, low bulk Montane liner gloves, along with this rather fetching beanie hat, and they live in this strap pocket of my rucksack here, so they're always easy to get hold of. When it comes to winter conditions though, this single pair of gloves is not sufficient, so I carry more than one pair, more than two pairs, more than three pairs, more than four. You get the idea. Before we take a look at the gloves that I wear in winter, let's take a look at why I carry so many pairs. Almost everything that we do on the hill requires us to use our hands. Going into our rucksack, opening zips, closing zippers, putting on spare clothing, taking off excess clothing, using a map and compass, gripping our trekking poles, using an ice axe, putting on or taking off our crampons, unpacking an emergency bothy bag. The list goes on and on and on. If we lose the manual dexterity in our hands, then it's a very safe bet that everything from that point onwards is going to get really tricky really quickly. Nobody wants that at any time of the year, but in winter conditions, that can be a killer. Carrying multiple pairs of gloves means that as soon as one pair has wetted out, either through the conditions themselves or handling wet ropes, digging snow shelters, conducting avalanche pack assessments, we can take that cold, wet pair off and change into a dry, warm pair of gloves. As soon as we feel that first tingle of cold in our fingertips, we have somewhere to turn to. For me, that somewhere to turn to is this 1 litre dry bag, which contains all of my dry gloves. Now, the purpose of this video is not to do a detailed review in every pair of gloves that I've got. One, because that's not the purpose of the video, and two, some of these gloves I've not had for long enough to give an honest, fair, detailed review of them. So instead, all I want to do is show you the gloves that I'm carrying, give you a sense of the different types of gloves and the potential uses for those gloves, and if you want to see a detailed review of them in the future, then let me know in the comments below. Let's dive in. Starting off with what I've already mentioned, these Montane Dart lightweight liner gloves. Up next are these Montane Fury fleece gloves. I've not had these long, I've had them about a month, and as far as I recall, certainly looking at them, I don't actually think I've worn these out on the hill yet. I've either worn the liner gloves or something a little beefier, which I'll come on to in just a second. Up next we have these Montane Men's Respond Dryline Insulated Waterproof gloves. I said this wasn't going to be a review video, and I don't want it to become one, but I have worn these several times in anger whilst I've been out on the hills in the past 4 to 6 weeks. In fact, it was only a week or two ago that I was climbing a multi-pitch V-diff route here in Ogwyn Valley, and I was wearing these gloves, and my hands were as warm and dry at the top as they were when I set off. So these are getting a big green tick in the box for me so far, but I need to give it a bit longer before I give a fully fledged review on these. Let's dig a little further into the orange bag. These are a pair of Extremities fleece gloves. I've had these decades and they are absolutely fantastic, incredibly warm gloves. I'm gutted to discover that they're just starting to wear through, both layers of them, on some of the fingers of my right hand. Unsurprisingly, I'm right-handed, and one finger there on my left hand. Wonder why. So these are on the way out. I might try and get another season out of them though by doing some DIY repairs at home. Let's dig a little deeper. These are a pair of Extremities gauntlets, much bigger gloves, much deeper cuff on the gloves than all of my other gloves. I don't remember the original origin of these, but I do remember that they were given to me by my dad. So there's a real sort of sentimental value attached to these. Again, these are decades old. Not entirely sure what my dad was doing with what I guess are a pair of winter mountaineering gloves, but I do know that he did all of his work outdoors, property renovation, glazier, window installations, things like that. So I imagine that they accompanied him on some of those colder jobs that he did. But these are still going strong. Most of the time, these are overkill for what I need, but I always take them out with me because they are absolutely at the bottom of this orange bag here, and I know that if push comes to shove and I need something that's just going to blitz all the other gloves, these are the gauntlets that I turn to. So those are the 5 pair of gloves that I carry or wear. It's also worth mentioning one other thing that's at the bottom of this glove bag is a packet of hand warmers as well, just in case I really need to accelerate the warming of my hands. I've got something to help with that in there. Again, mentioned it several times, I'm going to mention it again. This was not supposed to be a kit review video because some of those gloves I've not had for long enough to do them justice, or ill justice if that's the case. But again, if you want to see a detailed review of these in the future, let me know in the comments below. So to answer the question at the beginning, is carrying 5 pairs of gloves overkill? Well, I've already explained in this video why I feel it's important to look after your hands and make sure that your hands are good to go at all points during today, what you use your hands for and the consequences of not being able to do some of those things that you need your hands for. I carry 5 pairs of gloves. How many do you carry? Do you just carry the one and hope for the best? Do you carry more than 5? Do you carry somewhere in between? Let me know your thoughts about what I carry and also what you carry from a handwear perspective in the comments below. See you soon, folks.